TV. I followed my Anglophile heart and was the only American accepted into my class at London's Guildhall School of Music and Drama, whose alumni include Daniel Craig, 007, Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and my friend and roommate Michelle Dockery, who became Lady Mary in Downton Abbey. For the next 3 years, I studied voice and movement and became a classically trained actress. I was denied an English working visa after I graduated, and I didn't know where to go. So I went home to Kansas, used my parents' dining room table as a workspace to stuff 300 headshots and resumes into envelopes, and I sent them off to agents and TV companies in an attempt to find work. This was my first encounter with hustling. And after a few months, one of the letters made it to a desk of a CBS casting director, so I moved to New York, got an agent, and began auditioning. I remember getting a call back for a big guest star spot on Law & Order SVU, and it went really well, but the room was full of the casting director and the director and the producers, and it went well, and as I was leaving the door, one of them stopped me and said with a mischievous grin, "So, you gonna shave your head for the part?" And I was like, heck no, there's no way I'm gonna shave my head. Anyway, my hair grew back eventually, and the episode director actually shaved his head in solidarity. And that was my first TV job.
That's a great episode.
Thank you.
Her favorite, she said.
I died in the end. They shot me. For the next 2 decades, I had highs, ups and downs in my career. High point, I was Cordelia to Kevin Kline's King Lear, for which low point, got terrible reviews. But at least I got a cartoon in the New Yorker, so that's something. I moved to LA and used my English accent in the Knight Rider reboot. High point. Low point, I spent most of my time in LA at this coffee shop as a waitress. I moved back to New York and booked a good amount of TV, film, and theater, including liberal arts, Suits. Oh, sorry, that's The Good Wife. Suits, The Affair. I did a play at Lincoln Center. The Following with another Kevin, this time Bacon. And all followed by, you guessed it, more food service work, this time working as a wine shop clerk. A guest star spot on Elementary was followed by baking pies for a barbecue restaurant, which was followed by working with Barry Levinson, the Academy Award-winning director for Rain Man on HBO's Paterno starring Al Pacino. Some people say, "You've been on TV, you must be famous." I don't think Amy Adams or Michelle Williams makes pies on the side for pocket change. I am what you call a working actor, which is someone who makes their living off of acting, but usually has a side gig to support themselves. Then, after almost 2 decades into my career, COVID happened. My industry, like so many, shut down completely, and so, again, I moved back home to Sterling. A few months into the pandemic, I met a Saline County travel writer. Yeah, they exist. And a year to the day that we met, two years ago yesterday, to be precise, we got married on our property about 10 miles southeast of town. And when COVID subsided, I was able to go back to work on the coasts, guest starring in NBC's New Amsterdam. And you can tell that we watched it in Kansas because down here, Rolf took a screenshot of the screen. It says tornado watch. And then in December, I starred in the biggest theatrical part of my career in DC of my life. But in spite of these 2 roles, I have to say that TV and film auditions have mostly dried up for me. There are several reasons for this, and certainly the current Hollywood writers' strike is one of them, but the truth is, it's the biggest reason that I am 43 years old. Women's roles decrease drastically after they turn 30, whereas men's roles peak at around 45. And what's more, the percentage of women in their 40s on screen went down by 6% from 2015 to 2022. Ironically, at a time where I feel like I'm really coming into my own as a person, there are less jobs for me. I don't feel old, but the business I've devoted decades of my life to is telling me that I've aged out of most of the roles. This is deeply upsetting. Amid this frustration, I went to the Salina Art Center and saw a third Kevin, this time Oscar-winning Kansas filmmaker Kevin Wilmot screen his movie The 24th. And inspired by this, I went home and with the aid of my writer husband, we wrote the first draft of The Game Camera, a Kansas film featuring Kansas women. The story focuses on the universal themes of loss and grief, and they center around a Kansas woman who loses her husband in a freak accident and becomes fixated on the coyotes surrounding her prairie home, worrying that they will attack her mini horse, which was the last gift her husband gave to her. Her minister, Pastor Rachel, in an attempt to try to prove to her that coyotes aren't really a threat, lends her a night vision game camera. And sure enough, the woman starts to become less worried when she sees raccoons and deer and even a bobcat. And then one night, around 3 a.m., she sees a pair of man's legs on her property. Whereas most people would call the sheriff, she becomes convinced that the legs belong to her husband and that he's come back from the dead. At the end of the movie, all is revealed. I won't tell you now. And just to clarify, this is partly based on a true story. These are actual photos from my husband's old game camera. And yeah, we had some weird guy walking on our property. So boy. I am dedicated to having as many professional women crew as we possibly can. To wit, our producer, our director, our unit production manager, our line producer, our composer, our executive producer, our co-writer. 5 out of 6 women actors are women, and our director is Emily Railsback, who grew up partly in Sterling and mostly in Hillsborough. We've collaborated, Emily and I, on 2 micro-budget films together. The most recent one, American Parents, getting into British Film Institute's internationally known Flair Festival in London this March. Last June, Emily and I shot the teaser that you just saw on my property. In addition to Emily, we've got Brie Elrod, a Topeka actress who starred recently in a film called Red Rocket that went to Cannes Film Festival as the minister. Our original music will be partially composed by Nicole Gallion, who is a Grammy-nominated country music singer and songwriter from Sterling. In other words, I'm putting my passion for women in leadership roles into action. As a Kansas woman filmmaker, I need your help. Sometimes East Coasters, even my own friends, would ask derisively, what are you going to do back in Kansas? With your help, I can answer this question definitively. I want to help give voice to this place by making a beautiful film about Kansas women.